How did you know to do that? How did you not feel guilty for doing that? Because people feel guilty. They're
Well,
not staying at the hospital. They feel like they need to be there the whole time. You know.
because as I said, I came to terms with my value. I also look at the whole picture of what am I here to do on this planet. And I know that you have to be of service to yourself first. You have to make sure that your basic needs, your basic desires, and even some of your basic dreams are fulfilled before you can be of service to somebody else. And I was smart enough to realize that. Also, I learned a formula. One of the great mentors of my life, Grandmaster Dr. Jim Samuels, a mentor that I've had since I was 22 years old in Portland, Oregon. Dr. Jim taught me this formula called ABC, which stands for attitude, behavior, and consequence. Why this is so important is because what he taught me, you can't change consequences, particularly after the fact. And although we're brought up to learn that we can change or control our behavior, son, you got to control your behavior.
Right.
It's really a challenging thing to do. But what you can change or control and shift at any moment is your attitude. The key is, attitude is what creates the behavior, and the behavior is what creates the consequence or the outcome. So it starts with a fundamental understanding that you have to, it's your responsibility in your life to change or control your attitude first. So I knew it began with attitude, because then the attitude is what creates your behavior, and that creates the results or consequence. So my attitude was, I have to make sure to be of service to my wife, who I love, and I'm very giving, and I was always of service to her. I needed to make sure that my fundamental needs were still met. And I'm an artist, I'm a creator. I let the muse flow through me. So if that part of me dies, then a big part of me dies.
Right. See, this is very interesting.
And part of it as well is Kelly always understood that. And Kelly was still excited about that. She wanted to nurture that part too. So she never expected me to give more than I would feel comfortable or be capable of giving. And in turn, because it's very important for people that are ill as you can easily be victimized. The person who is ill can easily take on the position of being a victim and want a lot of sympathy as opposed to empathy. I also learned the difference between sympathy and empathy is empathy means I can relate. Sympathy means if you are down in the well, I will jump down in the well with you.
Right.
Empathy means I will pull you out of the well.
Big difference.
Yes, big difference. And I think that fortunately, Kelly operated from a position of understanding that I would be able to be more of service to her if I was empathetic and not sympathetic. So this woman went through an enormous amount. A lot of people would have complained. Most people would have died.
Yes.
But part of it, Kelly was also rebellious, and she said, "The hell with you! I'm going to win no matter what." Or the more she was challenged, the more she would resist that challenge, and that gave her strength.
Right.
So it was all these components combined that made that situation, work and enabled her to survive, enabled me to still survive and still thrive and still to actually be creative. And another thing is, when we're in pain as artists, that tends to be when we're the most creative, because it's like we need to express. It's not our responsibility to judge our art. It's only our responsibility to express it.
Right.
So part of that anguish and pain was the impetus for some writing and the expression and the way I played drums, or the way I wrote music, the way I approached anything creatively. So I have tended to try to seize the opportunities and use them for the greatest good of all concerned. I'm selfless, but I'm selfless as long as my foundation is handled first.
You know what? I wish I had learned that as a kid, because I was taught, I don't know if it's a Southern thing or just my family, that you have to serve the adults. You have to always make sure you're respectful, you take care of, and and that I had to be there for others first. And I wish that there had been people to say, what do you want to do? What do you want to, who do you want to become when you grow up? You know, what is it that you want to achieve in your life, and that sort of thing. I mean, you come from very loving, amazing parents.
My parents were very loving and amazing. My parents were very interesting because they never took my music seriously. It's like, oh,
So how did
Monk
you
plays
learn?
drums. But he's going to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Right.
I think what happened with them is when they sensed that my passion was so strong that it was not going to yield to anything else, that my attitude was so firm and so decided that they said, okay. And they, you know, my mother still jokes, you know, I'm 46 years old. When are you going to get a real job? And she still, even last year, she said, maybe you should go back to school and get a teaching credential just to have something to fall back on.
She said that to you?
She did.
Oh my gosh.
But they've also been
And she's been with you at
incredibly-
Anaheim Stadium
yes,
when you
but
guys,
they're incredibly supportive and loving because they get it. They understand that, look, my calling is different. You know, we all have our propensities. We all have what is authentic. And that's your specialty, is helping people through their intuition live their authenticity. If you're being authentic, you may be met with challenges, but fundamentally, there's a sense that you're doing the right thing and that you're in the right place.
Right.
And I think that fortunately I recognize that, and I've had enough loving and supportive people and teachers and mentors to help me sustain my dream. And it enables me then to really be able to be of service and give back. Now I go and I work with kids in detention camps. I was on the board of directors for Create Now that mentors at-risk kids. I do a lot of seminars. I am in a position now where I really can give back, and I do. And I love to touch people's lives in every way that I can. It's because I was allowed and nurtured to have my own foundation through all the heartache. And I wouldn't wish some of the experiences that I've had in my life on my worst enemy. Some of the anguish, some of the pain that I've experienced watching with I had cancer as well.
I know,
And Kelly and I had cancer at the same time.
Which
I mean,
is amazing.
it's
I mean,
again, it's stranger
what is that
than fiction.
about? Yeah, I mean, that's...
Well, I think what it's about is God and the universe never gives you more than you can handle, if you will. And I think that, at least I like to believe that for myself, and I like to believe that in the people that I see and when I'm helping to either mentor or nurture or support somebody. Because I think that you learn it's about finding the balance of the joys in life and really owning these adversities and being able to then turn them around and be of service to somebody else. That's the way I look at it.